what are the best examples of successful cooperative initiatives? And he's going to give us examples around the world. How can Ghanaians, benefit from having more cooperatives and many more? From then on, he's going to then speak from the perspective of the cooperative on trade and labor. And who is this speaker? Ladies and gentlemen, he is a senior lecturer in economics in the Department of Economics and International Business at the Greenwich University in UK, specializing in cooperatives. Before that, he worked as an agricultural economist in the planning unit of the Ministry of Rural Development in Zambia, served as the editor of a 3-volume set of reference books on Africa called No Africa Books. After that stint, he became the director of African Center in London, and he also worked as a consultant for the Economic Commission for Africa on African Peer Review Mechanism, APRM. He's currently the secretary of the African Cooperative Union with an objective of setting up an independent economic base for all people of African descent in the UK through credit unions, business training, and so many means. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our guest speaker today, Dr. Adote Bing-Papo. Mr. Speaker, the floor is yours.
Yeah, as I said, can we briefly, just 10 seconds each, introduce ourselves where we are speaking from, please, so that at least we have.
Okay, so I will start. Idea. Yeah, my name is Anthony Kweku Manfo. I'm in Canada.
Kofi Roberts, Atlanta.
California.
Yen, Ghana, London.
Eugene Asola, US, Georgia.
Nialote, New York.
Jojo Hughes, Paying Ghana.
Fanuel Yao Ayawule, Ghana.
I'm Elvis Stalin from Cameroon. I'm a president of Carifica Canada, Carifica Africa.
Great.
Dan Bento, US.
Linus Atara, Helsinki, Finland.
Okay.
Hilary, Sheikh, Tat, please introduce yourselves.
We should have gone by rows, that way it would have been more.
Yeah,
anyway, yeah.
We have 2 ladies in our midst too.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 ladies.
Yeah. I'm Thad Olsen. I'm in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Okay. Seram?
I'm Seram Fiake from Ghana.
Okay.
Seram Fiake from Ghana.
Okay.
There is Technoc there, Linda.
Daniel Akatapore, London.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm Yusuf Shaibu from Ghana. Shaibu, Ghana.
Okay.
Kojo Arthur, Washington, D.C., Ghana.
Okay. Techno.
America.
Okay.
Techno.
And Jojo Hughes. Fanuel, you already introduced yourself, huh? Okay. Who else? Who's E? Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. So
Sheikh Shaibu.
Sheikh Shaibu, Ghana.
Okay.
Great.
E. Keep moving. Okay. Techno. Bover. All right. Okay. Mr. Moderator, maybe just go on. We'll get it later.
Great.
We'll complete
thank
it
you.
later.
Thanks, Secretary. Yeah. Dr. Alote. Sorry, Dr. Adote. If you are ready, the floor is yours. You have 25 minutes.
Initially, yeah.
That's right, yeah.
I think you probably have to unmute.
He's talking.
Okay.
We're not hearing him.
But we're not hearing for some reason.
Try and unmute him.
Yeah, Fifi, you should be able to unmute him. You're in charge.
Yeah, but
he's muted. He's muted. Try
Yeah.
and unmute him.
You can unmute anybody and mute anybody.
yeah, but it's unmuted.
He's unmuted, yeah.
Okay. Send him a chat. Send him a chat message that no one can hear him.
Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Now we can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right. So I wanted to share my screen, but it says the host has disabled attendee screen sharing. Is it at all possible to share the screen?
Okay.
Because I have a PowerPoint that I would like to speak to, but if you can't, that's not, it's not a problem. I will just
should be able to
do it.
Hello, Dr. Adete. Go ahead, yeah, please.
Shall I just go ahead?
Um,
Okay, so okay, let me just go ahead. If maybe during the course of it,
you want basic or advanced?
Oh, I know. Whatever you can do is fine. I'm sure basic will be fine if you're able to do that.
Hello.
It's okay. Let me just go ahead.
Yeah, maybe just go ahead.
All right.
Some people want to be admitted, please.
Yeah, I'll get him.
Try and admit them. Like I said, just open it up. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me proceed. Oh, what is this?
It's your screen, isn't it?
Is it
your screen?
Yeah. Is it my screen?
Yeah.
I'm still seeing the host.
Oh, that's Kofi's screen.
Yeah. You're sharing your screen. I want permission to share mine.
I think it's important.
Right.
If it's possible, Dr. Adote, if you can just go ahead without.
I just go ahead. Okay.
Yeah,
all
just
right.
go ahead without bothering to share the screen and just talk us through the.
Oh, sure. All right. Okay. No problem.
It will even be good that we're also looking at each other. Yeah.
Okay. So can you now? Because you're sharing the screen, I can't even access my own PowerPoint. Can you? Who is sharing the screen? Somebody's sharing their screen now.
Please
can you please stop sharing?
Okay.
Kofi, take off your screen sharing.
Can you stop? Oh,
Kofi, are you having problems? We can walk you through.
Yeah, I'm having problems, really.
Okay. If you go back to share screen.
Yeah.
Click on it.
You click on it and it should say stop sharing.
Okay.
Okay, doesn't matter. While you're doing that, I've accessed my document, so let me proceed, yeah? Okay. So let me just give us a quick summary. These are the points I'm going to cover. I'm going to provide some context, which includes looking a little bit at what development is and Ghana, certain from the perspectives of Ghana. I'm going to look at what cooperatives are I'm going to look at how cooperatives can benefit Ghana or Ghanaians. I'm going to look at how cooperatives have usually formed, and then I'm going to give some examples of successful cooperatives. So that's what I'm going to do. So now, in terms of the context, I just want to make a very general statement about how societies or economies, in my view, should, their obligations they have. And I see them as three, basically, from the economic perspective. One is that everybody should have the opportunity of a livelihood. That seems to be important, those who can. Then the productivity of people should be continually raised in an economy. That this should be one of the incentives or objectives. And finally, that the goods and services should be accessible to everybody. In other words, everybody should be able to work, everybody should be able to work better, and everybody should be able to have access to basic needs and services. It seems to me that these three are important things to, that's the context that I'm looking at for an economy, generally speaking. Now, if one is taking, our economies are not ordinary economies because they've been colonized. And so they carry the scars of that colonization. And so what I'm proposing is that if one is trying to take an economy out of the colonial system, then you need to do at least two other things. Whether there are different ways of getting to those two things, but at least you need to do those two things. You can have a capitalist model, a socialist model. We won't get into that one just yet, but you need to do these two things, in my view. One, you need to restructure the economy so that it is no longer a colonial economy, all right? And two, you need to develop your own businesses. Now, whether these are state businesses, cooperatives, private businesses, is another matter, but you need your own businesses and you need to restructure your economy so that you are no longer a producer of basically raw materials and an exporter of raw materials and importer of manufactured goods, which is the quintessential colonial economic structure. So with that, now we have got 5 indicators. And what I've tried to do is to say that if we want to make a change, then we should not allow ourselves to be diverted to look at the things that somebody wants to report about us. We need to think through ourselves, what are the things that we want to measure so that we're measuring what we think are important. So that's why, so these 5 things that I've looked at, I've mentioned, the question of livelihoods for everybody, productivity raising, access to goods and services for all, the restructuring of the colonial economy, and the growing of national businesses. To my mind, these are 5 things that we should use as some kind of indicator of how the economy that we're examining is faring. And I've just taken some this is why I wanted to show you the slides, but I would describe to you the information I have very briefly. I'll summarize the information I have. So I've taken, first of all, livelihoods. So in the Ghana context, these figures are, in my view at least anyway, they're very much underreported. So different people have tried to estimate the level of unemployment in the country. And the ILO has done it, the World Bank has done it, the Ghana government has done it. And the figures all range from, the earliest figures I could find that cover from 1991, just 4.66% of people, they say, are unemployed. Rising to in 2001 to 9%, and then falling back again to 2019 to 4%. Now, if you, this is a very technical definition of unemployment, because according to the statistics, if you are looking for a job and you fail and you give up, while you're looking for a job, you're unemployed. When you give up, you are no longer unemployed. That's a definition of unemployment that is used by the United Nations and the ILO. So we have to treat the data with some care, but those are the figures that they're giving us. So in other words, however you look at it, there are a number of people in Ghana and elsewhere in Africa who would like to work, who would like a livelihood, but cannot get access to it. So this was the first indicator that I mentioned, that people should have access to a livelihood, should be able to have access to a livelihood. I'm not talking about the quality of that livelihood and so on. That's another issue. and we have issues there. So there's a big challenge, giving people a proper livelihood that can sustain them. The second thing I talked about was about this raising productivity. There is no measure. I'm using World Bank figures, and I'm using them deliberately because that's where most of us and our governments get their figures from. So there's no figure for, in the World Bank data on Ghana on productivity. So I've used a proxy, a substitute, which is I'm using gross capital formation, and I'm using it as a percentage of GDP. In other words, how much additional capital, how much buildings, machinery, things like that did we produce each and every year or invest in each and every year. From going back to 1967, it was relatively low, 8.7%, then 75, 11%, 87, 10%, according to the, then 97, 23%, 2007, 15%, and 2017, 20%. So we started low, we rose, and then we fell in terms of gross capital formation. Now, you can't make a direct link between capital formation and productivity, but you could argue that there may be some kind of a link, okay? So we have not done greatly well on that score, and it has varied significantly. Okay, then I talked about this restructuring the economy. There are many indicators that one could use, but I took the one that says the manufacturing as a percentage of exports. So we know that colonial economies did not manufacture very much and certainly didn't export. And that one of the challenges that trying to take an economy out of colonialism, especially in the context of raising productivity, is that what it produces should a greater portion of it should be manufactured goods. So what is the data on that? From 1962, the percentage of manufacturing exports of all exports was 0.9%. 0.9% of our exports were manufactured goods. Then 1972 was 1%. 1982, 0.4%. 1992, 7%. 2000, 15%. 2012, 11%. And 2018, 5%. So we can see that we started very low, just at 1% or 0.9%, and we ended up at 5% in 1918. So we haven't moved very far at all in this process of restructuring our economy, right, to take it away from the colonial model. Then the last thing I want to I talked about national businesses. It doesn't matter whether they are, doesn't matter what kind of businesses. Now, unfortunately, because of the ideological orientation of people who compose this figure, you cannot find one place a figure that talks about national businesses, i.e. state enterprises, private enterprises, cooperatives, and so on. You won't find it, yeah? But they have a measure which, according to their model, we could use, because their model is about the private enterprise model. So I found some data that says, this is the exact heading. It's the the market capitalization of domestic companies. In other words, how many, what is the wealth of Ghanaian companies that have been capitalized, i.e. that are on the stock exchange, right? Because that is a measure. And that measure in 1993 was only 2%, but it rose to 8% in 2003 and to 7% in 2011. But that is still a very small measure of the existence of a national business, independent national business. So what I'm saying is that by all indicators, sorry, the last thing. I talked about people having access to goods. Now, again, it's not so straightforward to get a good measure of this. What does one mean, people getting access to goods? Normally, we talk about income distribution rather than, let's say, a minimum standard of living. So I've used the income, that measurement, the income distribution, how equal or unequal income is distributed. And the most common measure of that is something called the Gini coefficient. The Gini coefficient can be 0 for a very equal society, or 1 for a very unequal society. And in Ghana, our Gini coefficient, since 1992, where the World Bank has got the figures, has been rising from around 38. It is round now 44, or let's say, I said 0 to 1. So let's say 0.38 to 0.44. Okay. So our Gini coefficient has been rising, which meaning that our inequality in the society has been increasing. This is not a measure of the ability of people to access goods and services, but it is a measure of the general distribution of income in the society. Okay. So by all measures, we definitely can do and need to do better, right? In terms of what I'm calling the key indicators of what an economy should do and how a neocolonial economy should be addressed if you want to end the neocolonialism of that economy, just in the economic aspect. Okay. So now I want to turn to, in this context, yes, so what is the role, what could be the role of cooperatives in this context? So cooperatives can be of different kinds, but I'm going to focus really on economic cooperatives. So economic cooperatives, what do? They encourage people to create their own livelihoods. The first indicator that I measured. They help people to work with one another rather than to compete against one another. They're based on the principle of collective ownership and benefit. And they give people more control of their workplace. So this is what cooperatives do. Let me just describe now the different kinds of cooperatives that exist. So I want to begin with what we call consumer cooperatives. So I want to describe it in this way. I call it consuming together, okay? Consuming together, what does that mean? So the different kinds of consumer cooperatives, they cover shops, retail shops. You can have consumer cooperatives around retail shops. Those of you who have lived in England ever will know that there's a shop called the Co-op. This is a shop where you go, you buy. In addition to buying, you can become a member. And when you become a member, the more you buy, the less it becomes because you get discounts. Okay, so that's one kind of consuming together. Credit unions are a kind of consumer cooperative. People save their own money, put it together, and then they borrow. And the borrowing is consumed as consuming finance. And that's why they're called consumer cooperatives. So credit unions are part of consumer cooperatives. There are also housing associations that are part of consumer cooperatives. Then the other kind of cooperative, which is very common, people would know about this, these are cooperatives that are to do with purchasing, people buying things together, right? So a group of farmers want to buy, let's say, fertilizer. They all get together and they form a cooperative, and they all say, okay, how much fertilizer do you want to buy? Everybody says how much fertilizer they want to buy. The cooperative goes and buys the fertilizer at a cheaper rate than each farmer would get it, and then comes back and sells it to the farmers, gives them what they want, how much they ordered, and they are better off. So that's a purchasing cooperative, and there are many different ways in which you can have a purchasing cooperative. So that's the buying together aspect, right, of economic aspect of economic cooperative. But then there's the selling together aspect of cooperatives. Again, farmers are best known for this. So you can get people who come together, they're selling their output. They could be selling rice, tomatoes, yams, doesn't matter. But they all come together and pool their output and present it as one bulk to whoever wants to buy. And because of that, they can get a better price. And I'm sure everybody listening is familiar with that kind of process. But those are what we call marketing cooperatives. So we've got consumer cooperatives, purchasers cooperatives, and marketing cooperatives. The not the last one I want to mention, but another one that I want to mention is what we call producer cooperatives. So producer cooperatives are cooperatives by those who produce. In the literature, sometimes they're called workers' cooperatives. So this means that a producer cooperative or a workers' cooperative is a business that is owned by its workers. Okay, it's a business that is owned by its workers. There are no external shareholders in such a business. All right, all the shares, if they exist, are owned by the people who work in the business. Okay, so, and they can cover anything, manufacturing, perhaps agriculture, services, professional services, lawyers, IT developers, you name it, you can have a workers' cooperative in that context. Okay, and finally, the one which I personally find most interesting is what we call a multi-stakeholder cooperative, where the elements of consumer, purchaser, marketing, worker are brought together, right, into one sort of conglomerate of cooperatives, right, grouping of cooperatives, cluster of cooperatives, a multi-stakeholder cooperative. Okay, so those are the main types of cooperatives. And so let me just say a bit more, what makes a cooperative a cooperative? If somebody says they formed a cooperative and they really have formed a cooperative, then that cooperative needs to conform to what are the 7 principles of cooperatives. These 7 principles were adopted or were crafted back in 1844 by the first recognized group of cooperatives, a group of weavers from Rochdale in England. But they were most modified most recently in 1995 by the International Cooperative Alliance. This is the world grouping of cooperatives. And they have got 7 cooperatives. I would mention them all, but I will discuss 2 elements. Okay. The first one is that cooperatives should be, they should be voluntary. Membership should be voluntary and open. Okay. I'm not going to go into that. The second one is that there should be economic participation. This I want to discuss a bit. But economic participation means that you can't make your money, as it were, work for you in a cooperative. You have to be present, right? You can't be absent and your money is present in that context. You have to be engaged, especially if it's a worker cooperative. Okay, so there has to be some kind of economic participation. If you are, say, in the purchasers cooperative I talked about, unless you make the order, unless you join the cooperative and make an order, let's say for your fertilizer or whatever it is, then you can't get the benefit. If you're a consumer cooperative, unless you shop in the shop, you can't get the benefit. So that's the economic participation. The other very, very important thing is democratic control. Now, we know that in the businesses that we are familiar with, there's a democracy, but it's based on share ownership. So in that system, it's 1 share, 1 vote. You have people who own the company. Actually, they own a certificate, to be clear. They don't own the company. They own the certificate, right? A share certificate. That's what they own. And that gives them the right to vote and to receive the profits from that business. And the democracy, as I said, is 1 share, 1 vote. And you can amass as many shares as you want. So if you have 50 shares or 60 shares, then you get 50 or 60% of the vote when the vote takes place. In a cooperative, no matter how many shares you may have, and you may have shares in the cooperative, when it comes to strategic voting, it's 1 person, 1 vote, right? And some people find it difficult, but that's the whole point about cooperatives. In other words, it's treating people as equal, no matter what other attributes they may have. So that 1 person, 1 vote is crucial, which is why it is impossible, for example, for somebody to say, I belong to a cooperative, the cooperative is in one place and I'm somewhere else. It's not possible because you cannot participate in the democratic process, all right? So it has to be 1 person, 1 vote in the cooperative that you say you belong to. The other things, I'll just mention them, but I won't go into them in any detail. Autonomy, it just means that the cooperative decides what happens. Nobody can tell it what to do. Learning, which means that the cooperative encourages people to learn and improve their skills all the time. 6, which is cooperation among cooperatives, which is a cooperative should try to work with one another. And 7, which means the community engagement, which means the cooperatives should try to have close links with the community in which they happen to be based. Okay, so that covers the issue about what cooperatives are. And so the issue is that how do I think that cooperatives could benefit Ghana if they were adopted? So the first thing is that if we had a system of cooperatives across the country, across all sectors, and lots of people think that cooperatives are for poor people in agriculture. This is not correct. We'll see later on examples that I'll provide to you. So this is not correct. Cooperatives, as I said, can be across all sectors: finance, transport, retail, insurance, whatever. So, but the thing is that they will help people. If people form cooperatives, then one of the key things is this: it has become part of the way we think the world works, is that we need somebody to come and employ us. But this is not true. When was that the case? We can employ, people used to be employing themselves for centuries before now. And especially, we don't need that person to be a foreigner either, right? So we don't need, our economies will not necessarily grow because of foreign investment. And we will not necessarily have employed people because people provide us with employment, okay? So cooperatives, people can sustain themselves and provide their own livelihoods. If you had a vigorous system of cooperative formation, the issue of people being unemployed or underemployed would diminish. I don't say it will disappear because that's an extreme statement, but it would drastically diminish, especially if those cooperatives are producer cooperatives, right? That is, they're workers' cooperatives, in other words. Secondly, if you had lots of cooperatives, one of the things you would find is that you would have production for the majority need. In other words, we would produce what we know how to produce. What we know how to produce is what our neighbors need, right? So in a society that doesn't have a lot of cooperatives, with a very skewed income distribution, you can have businesses that are making things for a very small number of people, but it's viable just because the people have money. But I'm saying that in a cooperative situation, what is likely to happen is that people will produce what others need, and that will mean that you will have a greater number or amount of the things that people need, which means you'll be able to fulfill the third criteria that I gave, which is about giving access, providing people with access for their goods and services. Also, if you had a cooperative, if we were to develop a cooperative economy, the kinds of things we would produce would be our cultural products, our cultural commodities, our food, our clothing, our music, our textiles, our craft. Those are the things that would grow. And those are the things that would sustain us in our identity as people. If we were to export them, that's another matter. That might be just a bonus, but it will help us to grow ourselves and our identity. Because that's what we know how to do, right? With any country that does that, that's what happens. The cooperatives, a system of cooperatives would help to industrialize the country and thereby fulfill the second criteria that I put about growing national businesses. It would help to grow national businesses and industrialize the country, which means it would deal with the problem of productivity. The two would come together. Yeah, the things that I mentioned at the beginning. Especially since, say you have people producing various kinds of products, let's say farm products, they sell it to, and they are a cooperative, and they sell it to a cooperative which processes those products. That's the part of the process of industrialization. Okay, you may say, okay, do they know how to process those goods? Where will they get the money from? I'll come to that in a minute. But that's something that can be done because people will automatically need those things and there will be a demand for them. So the process of industrialization would move forward, especially if it was cooperative clusters, especially if it was multi-stakeholder cooperatives, which I mentioned earlier on. It would allow the growth of national business, as I say, with government support. The interesting thing about cooperatives is this. You know, people attack state enterprises. and you can get the IMF and World Bank to make you privatize them, even if they're national. But you cannot privatize a cooperative, right? It is not possible because it's owned by the people. If it's a workers' cooperative, it's owned by the people who are running it. They're going to sell you their livelihood? No, they're not, right? So you cannot, it is very difficult to privatize a cooperative enterprise, okay? And yet, it has got a collective view and perspective on what needs to be done. So it's in between.
You have a minute. You have a minute on this.
Okay, all right. So that is the thing. And they also promote equality, cooperatives. So I will just quickly say a word about how cooperatives are formed, and then I'll just, if I can beg your indulgence, I'll give you a couple of examples. So basically, there are usually 3 ways of forming cooperatives. One is that the cooperatives form themselves. People decide to form their own cooperatives, sometimes in a hostile environment, sometimes in a conducive environment. But that is what happens. But the process of forming a cooperative needs a number of important inputs, and I want to mention these. One is that you need a supportive legal framework. At the moment in Ghana, our cooperative law was passed in 1968 by the NLC. It was outdated then, it is outdated even more so now. You need technical support. You need people to train people how to form cooperatives. So if you don't have people who know how to teach others how to form cooperatives, it's very difficult. And you need finance. So these 3 things are important: the legal framework, the technical support, and the finance. And when people form their own cooperatives as individuals, they can make, if the law allows it, then they can have people who have learned how to form cooperatives, help them to form cooperatives, and they may find a way to raise their own money, or they may borrow money. Many of them find a way to raise their own money. In other words, it comes from the members of the cooperative. Okay. Sometimes cooperatives are created by regional or national governments, and maybe in the question and answer session, I'll give you examples of how that is formed. But there are many instances of regional and national governments making it possible for people to form cooperatives. Just in terms of the legal framework, because that's where national and regional governments come into play. So first of all, you can have a law that allows cooperatives. So for example, again, in Ghana, if you cannot have, there's no law that allows you to have a cooperative that will go across all sectors. It's not possible. We need that kind of law, okay? You can't have a bank, for example, that's a cooperative. It's not possible. You could have in some countries, for example, where there, I'll give 2 examples. In Italy, in the constitution of the Italian constitution is written that the government must help cooperatives. Another example is that if you're unemployed, a government could help you from with finance to help the individual people to start forming cooperatives, or they could lend you money through a state or regional bank to help you to create cooperatives. So there are a number of ways in which you can form cooperatives, but the 3 things that I mentioned, the legal framework, the technical people, and the finance are crucial. I just want to end with just a couple of examples of cooperatives. I'll begin with the biggest cooperative, workers' cooperative that is there, because let me say this. In America, there are in excess of 30,000 cooperatives, but they have all been formed mostly by farmers to support their capitalist businesses. There are only 300 workers' cooperatives in America. So the examples I'm going to give you are going to be really around workers' cooperatives, not around the producer, consumer, and purchasers' cooperatives. Because the workers' cooperative is what really makes a difference to the social relations, right? Because you're moving from capitalists owning businesses to the workers owning the businesses. So the biggest one that exists is a company called Mondragon in Spain, in northern Spain. This is actually 102 cooperatives. So it's a multi-stakeholder cooperative. Very, very briefly, it has a bank that is at the center of the cooperative. The bank started the bank lending money to organizations only if they would establish themselves as a cooperative, which they did. And that was in the 1960s. This started in 1957. In the number of cooperatives grew until they got to 102, and then they stopped. They said, we're big enough, we don't want to be any bigger. How big is Mondragon? There are 85,000 people in it. There are 102 cooperatives, as I said. They deal with finance, knowledge, industry, and retail. Those are the areas they cover. They have a bank. They have a university in the place where the cooperative is. The trains upskills their people as they need it. And the annual turnover of this organization is 13 billion euros. Okay? Not million, but billion. So this is a huge organization. So I just want people to change their perspective and say that we're not talking about something that is small, potentially something that is very big. There are other parts of the world that one can mention, but I will mention one more, which is in Africa, in Kenya. The Kenyans have a very good consumer cooperative system based around credit unions, okay? The bulk of in fact, credit unions are the biggest element of cooperatives that exist in Kenya. Half Kenya's GDP is produced through cooperatives. And this has an impact on the level of inequality in Kenya. We know that there are poor people in Kenya, but that's partly because, okay, they have the credit unions and they are responsible for the big differences. Their credit unions lend to people to run businesses. And so you have a large level of engagement of the population in the credit union system in Kenya. And as I said, they have this, they produce half the country's GDP. They have a university that only studies cooperatives. So I want to leave that for the moment. And let me see, what else could I end with? Okay, so let me just say that, just a kind of a summary. So basically what I'm arguing is that there are some things that an economy should do, and there are some things that if you want to turn a neocolonial economy around, you should do. And my argument is that cooperatives are an excellent vehicle for achieving both of those things, especially if you are interested in democracy, fairness. Cooperatives are the quintessential instrument for doing that. And that they can be made to grow or established if you get a minimum conducive legal environment, if there are people who will train others and help so that those people can go and train people who want to start cooperatives, and if especially they are multi-stakeholder cooperatives, i.e. they combine finance and retail and manufacturing and other parts of the economy. That's very important. And so in our context, as I'm arguing that I believe in the 5 indicators that I've given, we have not done so well. I think that if we were to have a serious program of cooperative formation, we could make our economy and our society and the people in our country much more prosperous, much happier. Let's put it that way, much happier. And we could also help to, and much more knowledgeable. Yes, we could raise the level of knowledge and creativity in the country generally. Thank you very much for listening. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Adote. You are not done yet, so this is just a breather, just to have you sip your Queen's tea, and then later we'll come back to you on that. So at this point, I will invite questions and comments from any of you, please. But again, if you can help me, whoever has raised their hand, or that'd be great.
We'll do it together. But I think just as we are talking about problems in Ghana, there is lights out in Bolga, so that a lot of the Bolga people can join.
Someone dropped out. Yeah.
It's rained heavily. It's rained very heavily, and there's lights out. Maybe we may begin thinking about how to form a cooperative to ensure that we have lights across the country.
Yeah. There are a few hands up, Brother Yen.
Yeah.
Brother Linus and Brother Kwame.
Kwame, yeah.
Yeah.
So Brother
Kwame, start.
Yeah. No, we can't hear you.
Kwame,
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you are good.
unhook yourself.
But it's very faint. Maybe in the meantime, we'll go to Linus. Linus, in the meantime.
Unmute, Linus.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
you can.
Great. Thanks a lot, Dr.
Adote.
Adote, for that very good and informative presentation. I mean, you nearly said it all, you know, and it has really shed light on things that I didn't know, and of course, all of us here. But to just keep on, not to shift away by asking questions, I would want to just give a few. I mean, you use Finland here as an example again about how what Dr. Adote is speaking is not just theory, but it really can be achieved in practice. Because I live in Finland. The other day I spoke about, I mentioned that Finland has the best education system, and there are people who weren't convinced, but that is true. Again here, the Finnish economy is largely built on cooperatives. And I'm not the one saying it. One Ghanaian economist called Tete Kofi, you probably would know him.
Yeah.
Of how yeah. Tete Kofi came here on a fellowship and stayed here for a while. Did some work with WIDA, the World Economic Development Economic Research, part of the University of part of the UN University. And Tete Kofi was the one who was able to, he acknowledged and even said it back in Ghana that he used it in a very big conference. I mean, he gave the example in a very big conference in which I was, that Finland built its economy almost entirely from cooperatives. And here we have banks that are being run on cooperative basis. We have supermarkets that are run on cooperative basis. We have dairy products like from milk, producer cooperatives based on using dairy products. Farmers produce milk, and then they sell it all along. So that's right from the milk to cheese, even to meat production. These are all, some of it, a great deal of it is done on the cooperative basis. And so this is just a little observation from my perspective, because one good thing about some of us living abroad is that we are able to at least give instances based on our experiences, you know, in where we live, or bring in some other insights, you know, into what we are trying to achieve, you know, as a collective. And that is why I just chose to mention this example from here to show that, you know, what Dr. Adote is speaking, was talking about, can be achieved.
Okay.
The unfortunate thing is that he says there is no law in Ghana that allows financial cooperatives, that is from banks. And then we need to actually struggle for such things to be created. But in the meantime, if we really would want to have, start working on cooperative basis, at least we have a place, one other place that I know we can call on for technical support, and that is Finnish economists who have been running cooperatives over God knows how long. Finland,
thank you.
Were just emerged from a war. Finland had fought a brutal civil war from 1940 to 1918 because they were part of the Soviet Union. Then after that, followed by the Second World War, And this was a country that was able to raise.
Lennox, can you summarize because other people want to speak
so
that we can ensure that a lot of people make contributions, please.
All right.
And people, other people who want to talk, please keep it to about 2 minutes, not more.
No. I'm sorry, I didn't know that I had taken so much time. But
yeah, I think Kwame was next.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're still having problems.
Kwame, please, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to find out what is the context of the current situation in Ghana in relation to what Dr. Bing just elaborated on.
Sorry, I didn't hear your question.
No, what I'm saying, can you hear me? Can you please hear me?
A bit louder, yeah.
What I'm saying is that I wanted to find out the current context of Ghana's situation, because after the 24th February coup, there was purely an ideological war against the cooperatives. The banks, for instance, have completely been disbanded. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I wanted to find out what is the current context that relates to the co-ops in Ghana, the current condition, the current situation in Ghana in relation to the co-ops. I just want to know.
Okay. Do you want me to answer, or should we take some questions? Let's take questions.
Okay.
Let's take questions.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Okay, who else?
I got my hands up too.
Okay.
Brother Roberts, leave it to me, and Brother Ian, please.
Very well.
Yeah. Yeah, Kwesi, go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to ask Dr. Adote Bing. Okay, in our context right now, we have a lot of retail trading. For example, it's an eyesore in Ghana. Just about everybody is trying to do their own thing. Okay, how do we get people out of that retail petty trading business into cooperatives? Simple. How do we do that? To get people from that concept, that everybody have to have their own business into joining cooperatives. I want to see a vehicle, how to do that, to get people off the street, selling in the street and doing all those things. That's one short little question for you. If you
Great.
can.
Thank you, Brother Kwesi. Who is next?
Yes, I have a question, please.
Who is speaking?
Hello,
yes, my name is Elvis Tadum. I'm from Cameroon.
Great.
I'm a president of Carifica Africa.
Great.
I was with Mr. Yuri, the chairman of Carifica. He gave me a link to participate in this wonderful meeting.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yes, my question is that where is the difference between cooperative and communism? I want to know the very difference between the two.
That is a very intelligent question. You get a response. Who is next?
Okay.
Yeah. Moshi,
okay,
go ahead.
Liba Moshi.
Okay.
Leoba Moshi.
Yeah, Loiba Moshi. Okay.
Loiba.
Hi, everybody. I live in the United States. I'm not a Ghanaian, but I'm a friend of the Ghanaian group through Dr. Kofi.
Very much.
Yeah, the thing is, you're talking about setting up cooperatives, and one of the questioners said, how can you make the street people who are selling individually agree to sell in cooperative? The first thing is to convince them that whatever they put in, they will get a fair share, because what has been plaguing Africa, not just Ghana, even in Tanzania, the death of a lot of the cooperatives was the managers and the people who are running the cooperatives stole all the money and left the people who are putting in empty-handed. So the level of trust has to be improved, and you have to get a system where people are convinced that they will make a profit from what they put in, and their resources won't be depleted by those who have the powers.
Thank you.
Can we also get people to
shut off your mic,
the Ghanaians who are talking, the Ghanaians in this network what is happening practically in Ghana if they can make some contribution, please. Especially the young people. We want more contributions from the younger people, please. We don't want we, the old men, to be the only people talking.
But that's not very fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask a question, please?
Go ahead.
Okay. I want to know how equity or equality is ensured in the cooperative setup.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dr. Arete, I think you've had about 4 or so.
Yeah.
comments.
Dan is hand is up.
Okay. Let's add
I've
Dan.
asked my question. I just asked, it was me. I asked. The
No,
question.
no, another Dan. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yes. So for me, this question is, currently in Ghana and Africa, it looks like we are more geared towards consuming than production, right? How do we make the transition, or at least, balance the consumer co-ops with producer co-ops? Because we just consume and don't produce. I think that's a great problem.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Dan. But Arete, if you can start.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I'll leave the communism question to the end because I'm still trying to think about the answer to that one. Anyway. All right. Okay. With respect to the current situation of cooperatives in Ghana, yes, there's a cooperative law. It allows cooperatives to be formed, but thereafter really there isn't much else. There is a department of cooperatives, so it's a ministry. It's part of a ministry. And so cooperatives are supposed to be regulated by somebody, an official in that department. So when you say what's the situation, as I said, if you have we allow credit unions, we support credit unions, and there's quite a well-developed system for credit unions in Ghana. There are thresholds, there are things you have to do to register, and you are supposed to be monitored, and so on and so forth. So the rules are there in respect of credit unions. But for cooperatives in general, there are some rules for purchasers cooperatives, and there are some rules for marketing cooperatives. But there are no rules for banks, and there are no rules for producers cooperatives across the economy. So you can't have a business that is owned by its workers in Ghana, legally in Ghana at the moment. If you want to have such a business, you have to create a private company and then modify your internal rules, as best as you can, all right? And so that's the thing. So the way which cooperatives behave, as in, for example, that you have this one person, one vote, all right, is not legal under Ghanaian law. In fact, in a number of the rural banks, when they first started, not when they first started, but at a certain moment, some of the rural banks were operating on the basis of one person, one vote. And the Bank of Ghana wrote to them and said, you can't do that, right? You can't operate like that. You must operate on the basis of one share, one vote, okay? So that core principle, which is about how cooperatives behave, according to Ghana law, is illegal. Okay, so that's why you would need to have people have talked about it, have talked about putting forward a cooperative bill. In fact, there's a cooperative societies which have tried to appeal to various governments to enact a new cooperative act, but no government has paid any attention to it. About 6 weeks ago, the cooperative societies made an appeal to all parties to put the development of cooperatives into their manifestos. Okay, we are waiting to see which of the parties, if any, will put cooperative development into their manifestos. So basically, so that's what I'm saying, that a vigorous cooperative sector, the laws of our country don't allow that to happen. And what we need is a modern cooperative act. And there are many, and the world has got to a point now where there are many that one can pick and use to allow that kind of cooperative development to move. So the basic principles by which cooperatives operate, those 7 principles, are not protected in law in Ghana at the moment. Okay. I mean, the point about how to how to get people to move from sort of market retail to cooperative shops. Is it Lioba Moshi? I think the point you make is important, but it also highlights a number of things. I mean, the point you make is that yes, there are people. One of the key things about cooperatives is that there has to be a level of trust. But of course, a level of trust alone is not sufficient. You need that trust has to be regulated, and if people break sanctions, then something has to follow. There should need to be consequences. But the way to build trust is, as you say, that people need to believe. Well, need to be told, and then to see that if they join, if you suggest a particular course of action, that they will benefit from that. Okay. Now, unfortunately, many of our people, let's say those who are doing the market trading, do not have the level of education to meaningfully interrogate, what may be happening financially to a cooperative that they belong to. So we have a problem that somebody we have to find a mechanism that would make them, right, be able to create this kind of institutions. And it has to be based initially. It has to be based on trust. We know that, for example, the SUSU system that is all common, in Ghana, is all based on trust. Yes. So we have to. What I would say is that we need to be creative and look at what people actually do, and maybe see how we then use, what the things that are meaningful to people as the basis for developing what will be the next stage, as it were. Yes, of that enterprise. So I think I don't think that you can come and say this is what you should do. I think you have to speak to people, find out what where you want to go, but you talk to people, find out what is meaningful to them, right? In order to design the mechanism going forward, right? That has to be that has to be. It seems to me that has to be the thing that you have to do. Equality. Okay, so the issue of equality is basically this. Again, I'm talking about.
Kofi, can you let people in? I think somebody is struggling to get in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I already did.
Okay.
Okay. So the equality thing is, if you have the corps that I talked before, the consumer cooperatives, the credit unions, the purchasers cooperatives, the marketing cooperatives, those are people. I mean, people know how to operate those things, and they operate them quite well. Why the producers cooperatives are more equal than producer society that is more equal than a society that doesn't have producers cooperatives is simply this. There are many things you can use to generate for yourself an income. There's your knowledge, there's maybe some money you have in the bank, there may be a house you have, there may be land you have, and so on and so forth. Okay. These things are unequally distributed in our society. A cooperative makes sure that the thing that you can use to generate an income, that is a business, which now is privately owned, becomes collectively owned by the people that work in the business. And let me just say one more thing in relation to that. So that's the one. So you spread the assets, ownership of assets, more equally, right? So inequality is not about in inequality, the way economists at least look at it, it's not about people behaving badly or somebody cheating somebody, that's not it. It's about how are the assets in the society distributed. And if you have a more equal distribution of assets, then you will get a more equal distribution of income. Okay, so it's as simple as that, right? So that's one of the elements of it. The other element of it is this, that in a cooperative, if it's running as a business, the members of the business will decide. I mean, this is what happens practically. So this is not theory, this is what happens. At the end of the year, during the year, the members decide how much they're going to be paid. At the end of the year, they will have to make a decision. How much of the profits, assuming they have made profits, right, are going to be retained by the business to be reinvested into the business? How much of the profits are going to be distributed to the workers who have worked in the business? Okay, and they would have to make, and then how much of the total profits, and then those profits, how are they going to be distributed among those who work? Now, you can have different ways of using it, but the simplest way would be, okay, how many hours did you work in the year, right? And that will be the basis of your share of that, of those profits that are going to be distributed. So it's straightforward. But the key thing, the thing is really about the distribution of assets, right? The way to become rich is to get other people to work for you, right? And by owning businesses. So if you transfer the ownership of businesses to those who are inside the business, you automatically deal with, to some extent, the issue of inequality. From consumer cooperatives to production. Here, this is the key thing. Many people are interested in developing businesses, not always as cooperatives. But that's not the issue. Many people are interested in developing businesses to make things. What they lack is that, the first thing they lack is that there's nobody ready to lend them the money to do that thing. And also there may not be anybody ready to teach them the fundamentals of business organization and management. So the way to deal with that is that to have an institution in the society which makes it its job to help to finance people who want to do productive activity, who want to engage in production. And we know that there are many. So there's no shortfall of people who want to engage in production. What there is a shortfall of people who are ready to support them in that. So our big banks are the worst culprits, They do not support anybody, right, seriously, who wants to do something unless they have huge amount of collateral, all right? And yet they suffer from very high levels of bad debt. People don't pay their debt. But one of the lessons of cooperatives is also that when you have a cooperative system and you finance cooperatives, the level of bad debts goes down considerably, goes up. The level of people paying their debts goes up tremendously. So that's the case. So if there was an organization that will help people finance people to do that, that would be great. But it doesn't have to come from the state. That's where the credit unions come in, for example. Yeah, so people can be encouraged to create their own credit unions and borrow from the credit unions for business purposes. Okay, the Kenyans are doing it, right? They have lots and lots of credit unions, and they lend money to themselves to develop businesses. The Kenyan credit union system has got $6 billion as reserves. This is 2.5 times what the UK credit union system has got. All right? Why? Because the UK credit union system does not lend for business, at least not until 2012. In 2012, it became legal for a British credit union to lend for business. In Kenya, it has always been legal for them to lend for business, and they have done so, and therefore they have grown. So it's really possible for that to happen. That there needs to be funds which can come from the state or come from within society, to support people who want to develop productive enterprises. Now, as for the communism one, okay, look, I've never been in a communist, communism is like dying and going to heaven. None of us has been there, yeah? So I can't tell you what it's like. I can only tell you what those who wrote about it said it would be. But they said that, okay, in a communist society, it's from each according to their ability, yeah? And to each according to their need, okay? Right, basically, all right. So cooperatives in that sense are different from a communist society, because cooperatives, we say, yes, from each according to their ability, right? But to each according to their economic participation, okay? You have to have participated. But because you are doing it as equals in a democratic system, that is what makes the fairness. So maybe you can say that cooperatives are the anti-room to communism. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Exactly.
No, I'm just joking. So, but seriously. So, because we're creating a system that was talking about a system that is fair in terms of what you put in and what you get out, in the context of democratic engagement, yeah. So that's what I would want to focus on. As for communism, well, that's another day, you know.
Okay, yeah, I want to hit on this one here. As Harrison 74, Kotler 71, they all make mention of this, that the pre-existing dynamics of power inequality may, in economic world, for instance, the capitalists may sabotage such a community economic development strategy as co-op. So how do we ensure that such a thing is not done? How do we protect the cooperatives so that the capitalists wouldn't sabotage it?
Okay, all right. I'll make note of that, yeah.
So can people make contributions, please? Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Unmute and talk, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Adute, good afternoon where you are.
Hi. Hello,
Thank you so much for leading the conversation. I wanted you to go back to the earlier figures you gave about the percentage of the economy that is related to manufacturing, that's 0.9.
Right.
Yes, because I think that we need to sort of go back there to sort of define the size of the problem that we have. Yes, because we've talked about how cooperatives may be a pathway, but just to get that back in our minds, I didn't take them down, but the numbers were quite stark. So I just wanted you to remind us of that. Thank you.
Okay.
Any more comments or questions?
Yes, I have one.
Okay, go ahead, brother.
Thank you, Dr. Adoteping, for sharing that knowledge with us. There's one thing that struck my attention: the Cooperative Act or cooperative laws, and how are we going to get over this in terms of? I know that you said that would be the growth. I mean, the financial for development in nation, and then somebody came up with Finland as an example, and you also gave Italy as an example. The stifling effect of the current law, how are we going to get around it, or how can we help? What are the things that we need to be doing as PAG to prepare in case we have to address things like that?
Okay.
Yeah, please, if you want to talk, just cut in, yeah. Unmute yourself.
I'd like to ask one short question, please. One short question. I want to
go ahead.
Yeah. Dr. Doctor, you also gave figures on the domestic capitalization of Ghanaian businesses. And it would be useful to compare, give a comparison. If Ghana, if you've got 30% of domestic businesses, being capitalized, what is the situation elsewhere, like in Africa, even in developed countries? Then we can have an idea of what we're talking about.
Okay.
Any contributions from Ghana, please? Ibn Sowale.
Swala.
Ibrahim Osman, please. Fanel. E. Techno. Please, this is a participatory meeting, so let's all make contributions or ask questions or comment.
Guys, I'm trying to unmute you, but it's not unmuting. I don't know what you did.
Who?
I've got a very quick question, a short one. Can I?
Go ahead.
Okay. When Doc was making the presentation, he mentioned an income distribution index. I've forgotten the
Gini coefficient.
Okay, the Gini coefficient. You put Ghana's towards more towards 0 than 1. That is 0.44.
0.44, yes.
Okay. I'm interested in knowing what Kenya's is.
Okay. All right.
Kwame?
Yeah, and the Kwames are too. Is it Kwame Okulu you're asking?
Yeah, you highlighted yourself, so.
Yeah, well, I think that Dr. Adote has given a very clear picture, the picture of the co-op system. But for me, my focus is, of course, Africa, but Ghana. Our problem is in Ghana. One of the huge problems about Ghana's crisis is purely ideological as well. Now, I'm saying this because after the Sisi coup, a lot of things went wrong for the co-op movement. And I want us to look at that separately, either today or not. I want us to look at that because the co-op movement in Ghana before the 24 February thing was huge. You know, I used to, well, it's still going on. If you look at the co-op, for instance, if you go to the villages, there is funerals or co-op funerals. But I'm saying that before 24 February, the co-op movement was very huge. But after the coup, a lot of ideological battles were waged against the co-op. Is it possible? Because someone said something similar. How can we overcome that? I don't know if we can. But even if we have to overcome, because currently we can't even campaign for a fairer co-op law in Ghana.
Seek ye first the political kingdom.
Yeah,
that's
well,
why
I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you. But what I'm saying is that I don't have a fear about that at all. I don't have a fear about that. But what I'm saying is that how do we start now? How do we start? Even though some of us are in London, all over the place, how do we start a huge co-op movement in our place?
No. First, you have to have a political organization that gets to the place where these changes can be made. That's what we are about. You start by joining PAG.
Well, I want to be part. I'm always going to be part of that anyway.
Yes, but I think that's our job. That's really the task, and it's a huge one. I mean, that's why we are defining the size of these problems. Exactly. I agree completely. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Dr. Adote, go ahead.
Okay, all right.
It looked like Ibn wanted to say something before Dr. Adote comes in.
Okay.
Okay.
Ibn?
Swala.
Swala, on mute. Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Swala.
There's a ghost controlling his mic.
Oh, there's a baby there.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Adote, I think
okay.
you can
all
start.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Right. So, okay, this question of the capitalist sabotage, well, it's real. And that is one of the reasons why I talked about multi-stakeholder cooperatives. Because an example of what happened, for example, was here in the UK in the 1970s. The Labour government of the day had a big program of cooperative formation. And it was a period when many cooperatives were created, and they had what they call cooperative development agencies. These were sort of bodies, people by usually attached to the local authorities, which were there to help people to create cooperatives. And they had some financing which they made available to cooperatives. There were problems, but that's not what I want to focus on. So when Margaret Thatcher came to power, what she did was she shut down those cooperative development agencies and turned off the money tap. And today, there's hardly any legacy from those businesses. Okay. So, if the thing becomes this, so therefore, that's why, as I said, I recommend a multi-stakeholder, because the multi-stakeholder, if it's done properly, will mean that people have their own independent source of money. Let's say the credit union system, people create credit unions. They save together. They then lend to one another. Not that it is impossible for a government that is hostile to disorganize that, because we know they are really, if you really mean to do something and you hold state power, you can do it, or you can approximate it. But it becomes much harder. Yeah. So if the money is not theirs, it's not in any of their banks, right? And if the people who are doing the training are not state functionaries, then it becomes very difficult to disorganize it. And that's why, for me, I support the whatever state may come and get involved in this process. I certainly would strongly advise that one keeps an independent element of it. Independent both in terms of finance and independent in terms of the technical support. Yeah, and that will make it much harder for it to be destroyed. Then the last thing to link to that, that's why the sixth principle of the cooperative, 7 cooperative principles, is cooperation among cooperatives. So if you are relying, it is known, for example, that banks in this country, in the UK, don't like lending to cooperatives. So that one is there. But also, if you are relying on selling your output, right, to a particular, not to the general public, but to a particular set of organizations, and they decide that they don't like you, then they can intervene. But if you're selling to another cooperative, then that becomes easier for you to do. So that cooperative interlinking is very important. So the Mondragon model and the model in one region of Italy, which I haven't mentioned, where there are many cooperatives, they are all interconnected, is that a cooperative will not try to harm another cooperative, right? If the cooperative is selling goods. So if you have a cooperative producer of, let's say, rice, selling to a cooperative miller of rice, who's a rice processing cooperative, the two are not going to quarrel. They may quarrel about various things, but one is not going to try to dismantle the other one just for ideological reasons. Okay, so that will be my answer to that. That you need to create independent sources, decentralized sources, and not depend on the state. The state, if you have a supportive state, that's fine, but you need to maintain your independence.
So in effect, the interlinking of those chains are very important.
Yes.
And therefore, it has to start with credit unions, whereby it trickles down to supply. And
that would be my advice. That would be my advice. Yeah.
Fantastic.
That would be my advice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Touching up at but you use rice. Oh, okay. You used rice as an example.
Yes.
Rice has a shelf life of about a year or 2 or 3. Rice doesn't go back. Okay. What about other foodstuffs like plantains? Okay. Right now we have plantains getting rotten in the farms. Okay.
Okay.
Right. If you buy a lot of plantain, you talked about that restructuring. So the distribution system, if you don't use plantain or cocoyam or something for about a week and they get ripened, how do cooperatives, distribute this type of thing? I mean, food stuff, to different parts of the country. The restructuring. It looks like we have to do something about that. The distribution system. If cooperatives go into that area.
Okay.
Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, I'll just say, okay, there are two things I would say about that. First of all, that, I mean, products are products and we can't change their nature. And so, things get rotten as they do. But if you have a supply chain, let's say you have a supply chain of cooperatives, yes? So, actually, no, I think I'm going the wrong direction. Let me take your question this way. What you're highlighting, I think, is that two things. One is that you have lots of individual producers who are finding it hard to find somebody to buy what they make. Yeah? And then as a result of which, the thing which they have produced rots on their farm. Hello?
Oh, somebody's interfering.
Yeah. So
Sorry about it. Go ahead.
yeah, okay. So they can't find a market. All right. Now, if they were a cooperative, let's say, the first step, they would have a cooperative. They would have somebody to whom they would sell their good. That is the cooperative. Yes. Okay. So that deals with the problem of the rotting. Now, if that cooperative, therefore needs to look for somebody who can process or who wants to otherwise buy and use what it is that is there. So that's something that, again, can be put in place. So it is not. I mean, what I'm trying to say is that there's a part of your question which actually is not about, doesn't have to do with cooperatives at all. It's just about the supply chain. Do you know?
Yeah.
So cooperatives cannot solve a problem that, they're not a panacea for. They can't solve every problem. But all I'm trying to say is that if you have a situation in which cooperatives are supporting one another rather than standing alone, then it is harder to destroy them. That's really the point I was making.
Yeah, I would add something. I would add something that you had said earlier, which has to do with the development of knowledge and skills around the products.
Yes.
So that, for example, if something is going to rot and they have knowledge about how to transform it into another form, and they have the science to do so, then they don't lose the crop. They actually make it more like a manufactured food and sell it to the market.
Exactly.
Yes. So it's that building of knowledge around the products.
Yeah,
is very, very important as well. The training. Yes.
And on a practical level, let me just say this. Now you talk of the level of transportation. We know that on our roads, most of the goods that transport things up and down are owned by individuals. Here again, there's an example to be learned from Kenya, because after credit unions is housing, and after housing is transport, right, in the Kenyan system.
Yeah.
And the government made transporters form with cooperatives. Okay, so we can't get too much into how they did it, but they did do it so that many of the
trucks,
the trucks and internal transport, of people as well, is now run by cooperatives up and down Kenya, and it has been shown to work. Okay, so if you have a state that I'm not saying the Kenyan state is perfect, not by any means. Yeah, nobody should misunderstand me.
Yeah.
But if you have a state that is willing to push in certain directions, then things can be made to happen. Yeah. Okay. Then
can I chip in something?
Yes.
I am always anytime I visit Ghana, there's a lot of waste in terms of the food, and as you just mentioned, and Dr. Olsen came up with the idea of how do you put that produce into another product or another form. We did a presentation a couple of weeks ago, and I talked about the curriculum. What are our agricultural institutions doing? What are our research institutions doing What are we teaching? Are we saying that we have to wait for people like the Blue Eyes company that come and they've leveraged on our citrus fruits and they're making billions of dollars out of that? So yams, mangoes, and all those citrus fruits, we can do something. What we have to begin to research, and this has to do with the curriculum or how we teach, how vote money, grants, so that the students in the research institutions, agriculture institutions will come up with novel ideas of how to do this. We can do that. Look, we have this plantain coming in from Mexico and they are shipped to the US. Large, any of the states or even the cities, we have plantain. We can find them and eat them. How do they store them? We can learn from all of this. So it's more of, like Dr. Adote said, how do we get people to understand what we need to do? Management. Thank you.
Okay. Let me just add to that. You do need an integrated system, and the issue, I think, the issue for us is that at a number of levels. Okay, so our educational system trains people who have a lot of skill, but let me use a crude example just to to highlight what I mean. So you could have an educational system that focuses on English literature. I don't want to abuse anybody, yeah, but storytelling and writing, okay, and no scientists, okay. You could have a system where there are only scientists and no storytellers, all right. But the point is that whoever you train, they need to find a job. They need to find a livelihood, right? And I think that part of the problem may not be, I'm just posing this as a question for all of us. Part of the problem may not be that there may be a part of it where we are training, we have the balance wrong between the technical and the arts, yeah? That may be an issue. But we also, I think, have a problem with, once we train people, our economy is not providing them with an open door and says, here you can get a livelihood, yeah? And so it is not just the curriculum, important as that is, but it's also the opportunities that we provide to people that they can have a livelihood that they feel is appropriate to them, you know? And I think that we have to do, we do need to do, it has to be joined up, let me put it that way, yes? So we don't just fix one bit of the jigsaw, we try and fix all the bits of the jigsaw, yeah? All the elements in the chain. I think that is also what is important. As for the cooperation, now it's very, unfortunately, to be honest with you, I don't have ready figures about national ownership, especially, let's say, in developed countries. I have some figures on the manufacturing bit of it, but not on national ownership. But I know, for example, that maybe it's not the best example to use, but in the UK, stock market, right? Over 70% of the UK stock market is owned by institutions. And those institutions are coming from various places. Most of them are, well, many of them are pension funds, and a number of them are banks. And because the UK is a major financial center, and many of them are also this thing something called hedge funds. Because the UK is a major financial center, you will find that there are a large number of foreign entities present, but there are also a large number of UK-based organizations that are present. But certainly, in terms of proportion, yes, that one should aim for, that it would seem to me that I know for a fact that you need to have more than half of your stock market owned by companies that are registered in your jurisdiction. All right. I use that very specific formulation rather than some other, because you can have, people can set up. Companies are special. You can set up a company and put it into register it in any jurisdiction that you want. So the stock markets are primarily owned or capitalized companies that are national in developed countries. Of course, in developing countries, that is not always the case, where lots of stock markets are capitalized by, as we said,
So can you let in Shaibu?
Yeah. Lots of stock markets are capitalized by businesses that are foreign. And that's what the figure that I showed you is. But even if you just aim for 50%,
Can you let in
then we
Shaibu?
have, if you aim for 50%, then we have a long way to go. We have 40% to catch up just to get half of our stock market to be businesses that are domestic businesses. On the question of the ownership, Thaddeus, you mentioned the structure of exports, yeah? So I said 1962, the manufacturing as a percentage of exports in Ghana was 0.95%. Was 0.95%. The biggest it came to, can we identify who that is, please?
Ibim, please, can you unmute?
No, mute.
Mute, sorry. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
All right, thank you. So the highest it came to was in 2001 when it was 15%, and in 2018 it went back down to 5.5%. Now, just for a comparison, I looked for the comparison in this case. South Africa, which is one of the most industrialized economies for reasons that we know on our continent, their share of manufactured exports is 29%. Okay, 29%, just under 30%. The global average is 45%.
Okay. So that gives us a good context.
So that gives you a context, yes.
Okay. Dan's hand is up.
So what is yes? What is the difference between a co-op and trade unions?
A co-op and a trade union? Oh, okay.
And also, what's the what's the law in Ghana on trade unions? And was there an avenue to convert some of the trade unions into co-ops?
Okay. Any other comments?
Dr. Adute, give me 1 second here. Secretary, can we go past the 2-hour mark?
That's fine.
Okay.
I think we should try and stay within the 2 hours because so that it will encourage people to attend. Otherwise, people will vote by their
okay. I was going to say, if after you finish answering this question, if you can briefly, just about 2 minutes, link it with trade and labor.
My brother. Okay. Anyway, we had this discussion already, but okay. Okay. So, okay, the question you raised about trade unions and cooperatives is actually very interesting. So, what is a trade union? A trade union is an organization of workers set up to bargain or negotiate, that's a better word, with their employers about their conditions of employment. Okay? A trade union is an organization of workers set up to negotiate with employers about the terms and conditions of employment. A cooperative, a producers cooperative, is a business that is owned by the workers. Okay? So if the workers want to talk, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If the workers want to talk to their employer, who do they talk to? They talk to themselves. Right?
That's why they have large boardrooms.
So I once spoke to a trade unionist in the UK about cooperatives, and he got very angry with me. And he said that he doesn't understand all this business about cooperatives because what he wants is that his salary should go up by 2%, 2.5% minimum every year. And I said, well, if you form a cooperative, then you will make that decision yourself. He got very red in the face because now he understood what I was talking about. So that's the difference, yeah? So when there are two very, very different things in that sense, right? And to be honest with you, lots of trade unionists don't like cooperatives. Okay, because they think it weakens them. All right, they think it weakens them.
Yeah.
And so there needs to be a lot of work done around this. There are instances where actually trade unions have formed cooperatives. Yeah, I know of instances where trade unions have formed cooperatives, but it's very rare. It doesn't happen very often. On the whole, it is contradictory. Sometimes the difficulty is because governments the governments that are actually hostile to cooperatives have used cooperatives or the possibility of cooperatives to attack trade unions. Right? So that is, I mean, that we're getting into quite detailed stuff, but that is the case. So, but there is a big difference between trade unions and cooperatives. And just to say a little bit about Labour Party history, in the beginning of the century, when the Labour Party was formed in the UK, the cooperatives were very strong. They had a very strong presence in the 19th century. And there was a argument. There was a big discussion in the labor movement, right? Should the labor movement be to support cooperatives, or should it be to support the trade union movement? And the argument was won by the trade union movement. That's why the Labour Party aligned itself to the trade union movement under the advice of Sidney and Beatrice Webb, okay, the Webbs, who had so there was a group of UK intellectuals who were on the left who campaigned for this. So once that happened, there was like the trade unions, the Labour Party and the trade unions went one way, and the cooperatives were left behind. So it's a complex relationship. It's a complex relationship.
So then how then?
Please, I mean, can we have contributions from, because we're getting nearer, from the bottom half, hardly talk. Is that all? The bottom half are all quiet. Elvis.
Yeah, but it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. You don't do that. You just
trying to urge them to make contributions.
No, people want to listen and learn. So just let's allow them, please.
Okay.
Yes. I have the questions. Yes, I have the questions. That's all that the doctor are sharing with us are very important. I want to make some little important points. Is it a cooperative? Cooperative can be, firstly, a community. A cooperative is a community. I want to ask, it's basic, but it's important to me to move forward. Doctor, a cooperative or a productive cooperative is a community.
So are you asking a question? Are you saying that? Are you asking if it's a community?
Yes.
What do you mean by community? I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
because
understand.
yes, I want to go to move forward because I hear all on around African TBC community. Is
Sorry,
it,
which community? TBC, what is that?
TBC community. Yes, the billion coins. Do you hear about that, doctor?
The what?
The billions coins.
Is it a cryptocurrency you're talking about?
Can somebody hear better? I'm not hearing very well.
Is it a cryptocurrency?
Yes, a cryptocurrency called the billion, called TBC. Is it a cooperative or a community?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Okay,
no, it's
that's
not.
my point.
Okay.
I think we should.
Excuse me, please. Let there be order. Chief Whip, Kwesi Bodu.
No, I mean by community. What I heard about, what I want to like, okay, we have in the north. What about the shea butter? People in one area who grow a certain type of food only, and they depend on that. How do you turn them into a community of producers for shea butter? for them to have an outlet, to a trade union or cooperative to sell their products to. That's what I understand, by the community that he's talking about, or by community. Okay, there are the cattle ranches. Okay, that they sell a certain specialty of beef. How do we improve them? We don't want, we want all these people to sell to one, to have a price level. There should be price level. We don't want price fluctuations from one producer to another. So if we talk about community, how do we improve the community of the shea butter growers or this type of farmers, ranchers or something like that? And I think we've talked about that already with the distribution and the processing and the storage and all of that. The chain. That me too. I don't. I want to see how we can improve that, because these things are there already. We have our people who just produce peanuts,
surely,
granules, and the granules, they don't have an outlet for the sale. So they are stuck with it. And if you want to improve their cooperatives, how do we, get them to sell their products to the end user? That chain is not improved in the system in the country. So I'm very concerned about that. We're talking about cooperatives, but we can get a whole lot of people to grow certain things. And I think we talked about that already. Process. We don't have enough warehouses, storage systems, and to get the product to the end user. Is something that I want a lot more explanation or a lot more comments on. How do we get something from the producer to the end user? And you talked about, okay, how do we use plantain, for instance? Everybody cannot eat plantain chips. At some point, we have to use the plantain for something. And that area is much more of a concern to me, because we can talk about cooperatives.
Yeah, Mr. Budu, that should be enough. Thanks so much.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Adote, do you have anything to say to that?
Yes, I mean, okay. Yes, I began this thing by trying to talk about the different kinds of cooperatives.
Mm-hmm.
And, I talked about purchasers cooperatives, consumer cooperatives, marketing cooperatives, and so on. Those three main ones, yes, before I talked about producer cooperatives, i.e. workers cooperatives, yes?
Yeah.
So what I've understood from what you said is really, it's about organizing the producers into one of the two, either the marketing or purchasers cooperative, yes? That's what I've understood from what you've said.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Uh-huh.
And you raise, and like I said, cooperatives can only do so much. So let's assume, for the sake of argument, that you have all these independent peanut producers or the shea nut butter producers, and you are able to organize them into a cooperative. You still have a problem, because the question is, okay, who is going to buy their peanuts? Who is going to buy their shea butter? And what are, or their plantain? I think I shouldn't forget plantain. Otherwise, I'm sure you'll remind me about it. Once that is done, so what is going to happen to these products? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so that's where we get to the next stage, as it were. So now we are able to produce. We have a broken distribution system which doesn't give these sellers a regular and sustained high price. But we also have a situation in which apparently we don't have any use for these things because we don't know what to do with them next. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that is not a problem of cooperatives. That is a problem about our ability to bring people who do know. That's why I talked about, maybe it was you, somebody mentioned education. Yes, that we would then need, if you were in this process, you would then need at the same time to encourage somebody to set up a processing plant, right, for these goods, shea nut or whatever the case may be. Because if you don't do that, then you are not creating a chain which could be beneficial. Yeah. So you have to do that. Now, whether that chain has a cooperative in it or not, that is a different matter. Yeah. I would but the first thing is that you can create a cooperative of to market the good, but then you need to create the next stage in the chain of the supply chain, that is the ability to process what it is that you want. Okay. And that requires people with the relevant skills in order to be able to do that.
No. Yeah.
And that becomes a challenge that becomes a task that those who are trying to support the process will need to solve, you know? So you have to create the two together, and then you have something that is viable. Okay. If you have the producers of the good and the processors of the good together, then those processors will find the final consumption market. Yeah, they'll find those people who need to consume that good, either directly or maybe some of those things will enter into the production of other things. I mean, I don't know, but for example, the covering of plantain could be used for something else, so far as I know. Yeah, I'm not an engineer, but maybe it could.
Yeah,
and maybe there's somebody who has an idea about that. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. But you have to bring those things together. If you are a development agency, that's what you have to do. You know?
There are three hands up. Yeah. Ibrahim, Seram, and Alolga. There are three hands up.
Yeah, Linus, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much.
Very short, 30 seconds.
But there are other three hands.
Yeah, I will come to that.
I would want to know, do we have any information on the existing corporate movement in Ghana? I mean, how vibrant it is.
Okay. Thank you. Who was the next? Brother Ian, who signed?
Osman's hand is up.
Osman?
His hand is up.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, go ahead. 30 seconds.
I want to find out whether a cooperative, is it meant to kick out middlemen?
Okay, thank you. Who is next?
Kwame, his hand is up.
Kwame.
Yeah. For me, it's not a question, but I just want to elaborate on something Dr. Adotebing said.
1 minute, 1 minute, please.
Yeah, trade unions, there are two variations, membership and leadership. I remember 1987 Congress at Cape Coast. Membership asked leadership to adopt resolutions to encourage cooperatives, but leadership worked against that. So I just want to distinguish that. Membership will want it, but leadership will not want it, please.
Okay. Thank you. Who again? All right, Dr. Aditi, I think it's... Yeah.
All right, okay. So the Ghana cooperative sector is not vibrant. That's a short answer to your question. It's not vibrant. It is stuck to part of the cocoa sector uses cooperatives. And those are quite they are quite healthy, as it were. They're quite healthy as in they exist and they are active and so on. But it's not across the board. And you do not find across the country either lots of purchasers cooperatives, which you do, for example, in India, or marketing cooperatives, which you do around the world as well. So we don't have a vibrant cooperative sector, even at the basic agricultural level. The purchasers and the marketing cooperatives, they're not vibrant. Okay, there's some in the cocoa sector, yes, but there are not many of them there. And as I said, there are none apart from credit unions. We have credit unions, but they're not very active. They're not very big, although their regulations are there. And for other sectors of the economy, you don't find cooperatives at all. So it's not a vibrant sector at all. Are cooperatives meant to kick out middlemen? No, they're not meant to kick out middlemen. What they are meant to do is to improve the livelihoods of their members. Yes, that's the purpose of a cooperative. So the middleman will still be there, But what it does is that it changes the balance of power between the middleman, what you call the middleman, and the corporate and the cooperative. So if you have a purchasers cooperative, somebody who is selling tools to farmers, let's say, yes, and farmers are coming one at a time, okay, they can inflate their prices. They can inflate their prices, okay, or and so on, and get an advantage. If those farmers create a cooperative, then they change the balance of power. They have what we call market power, right? Once you have, you can have low levels of market power or equal levels of market power, yes, or higher levels of market power. And so in a market, two people are buying and selling something. They don't have equal power. Ideally, what you would like is for them to have equal power. But if one side is disorganized, yes, then it will suffer. It will have less market power than it should. So cooperatives are a way of getting those people who don't have market power to have some market power. It doesn't get rid of the middlemen, but it changes the balance of power between between whichever side of the equation you are on. Yes, whoever is facing the middleman. So I hope that is a good enough explanation.
Great, thank you so much. Do you have any more comments or questions?
Sarah's hand was up some time ago. Do you still want to say something?
Yes, my name is Sayram from Ghana. I mean, looking at Ghana, the individualism in Ghana is so high. Everybody wanting to do his own business in a way, small in his own corner. That's all.
Right. That is true.
I mean, even before the PAG gets into power or work toward it, what can the PAG do for the people? I mean, this will be a way of preparing the ground toward taking that political power. That's all I want to say. What can the PAG do for the people in this period? Because we have well-learned people here who can facilitate this easily. Doctors and professors and great people here. So what can the PAG do for the people?
Right. Thank you so much. I think Dr. Arite will take the first part.
That's not a question for me.
That's right. And the second part, I think our chairman can answer that. Chairman Thad.
No, I think the first part of the question was, what can PAG do? That part, I think, can be answered very well by the presenter. What can? What will is a different.
It's a different matter. Okay.
Different matter. Yeah. So let's start with the what can.
Okay. All right.
I think we should look at what will as well.
Oh dear. All right. What can? Okay. I think that the purpose of a political party is to get state power through elections. So when PAG becomes a political party, or even before it becomes a political party, it can begin to do things that will persuade the population of Ghana that it is worthy of state power. And in life, it's very simple. If people think that you're going to do something that will help benefit them, not in a corrupt way, they will vote for you. So
follow you.
Well, yes, but hopefully they'll vote for you too, because following is not enough to get you into power.
I know.
Yeah. So seriously though, I mean, no. So if PAG can engage with the population, and you have to choose the right target audience, and say to them, this is how things could be, but it could also help them to begin to create the world that they want to see. Yeah, it could do that. But if it begins to do that at a grassroots level, and my advice is that you don't go to GBC or Joy FM and start shouting that this is what you are doing.
Yeah,
you do it on the ground, and have a tangible effect on the ground. Let people feel the benefit of what you've told them. Let others see the benefit of what you've told those other people. You will build that following, which you can later translate into votes, which you can then translate into state power.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Boy,
So
that says it all.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. At this point, we'll let Chairman Third, summarize and thank Brother Adote.
All right. Well.
Yeah. Before he does that, we'd like. I mean, basically, there are quite a number of people that are, particularly that have come in. Kwame today, and Bradford. Bradford is from the PDM, and I hope that he hasn't said anything. I hope that he can get his organization to participate in this organization. Also, those who we don't have their details, please, if you can write your details at the chat area so that we can have them. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Yeah. And thank you very much, everyone, and particularly Adote for presenting and also really giving us good insight into what is ahead of us. In thinking about what we can do, as I listened to this, I felt that it is within our reach, after we create the proper political and educational context, in the coming months and in the short term, we can actually pilot a number of cooperative projects so that you can show people what can be achieved. And people need to see evidence all the time. So I think that those are some of the things that PAG might have to begin to think about as on our to-do list in the near term before we get even further down the line. But I think as an organization, we have always seen cooperatives as a pathway for improving the livelihood of Ghanaians. I mean, the recent survey we did showed clearly that unemployment, not having a source of livelihood, is the greatest concern of Ghanaians. So this seems to be certainly one way. It is not the only way, but it is certainly one way of capturing a lot of what people need. And I think that this presentation is going to help us to formulate some of those plans going forward. I'd like to thank everybody for participating and sticking with us. And I hope we can have a cold beer one of these days very soon when COVID settles down. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share the ideas with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Brother Ian, if we can please extend our gratitude to those who were able to attend today, that would be great.
Those who are
here, especially those first time and so on.
Yeah, just as I said before the chair talk, it's this whole idea of this meetings is to ensure that we agree, we have a common purpose. It is not just talking for talking's sake, and that is why I did emphasize that, I wanted the younger people to contribute, because the whole idea is how eventually we'll come out with a political program, as the chair has already stated. So, I mean, we should try as much as possible to attend this meeting. The next one is in 2 weeks' time. We'll send adverts around and try and come with other people, and if you don't belong to any of the associated organizations, because the PAG is made up of a number of organizations, the CNN and then the Social Justice Movement and others. If you don't belong to any of the organizations, you can join any of them, or you can just join the PAG as an individual. So please, let's make a contribution. Our country is crying for us. You've all heard about the Japan, or is it Ajapa or whatever? How we only have 5% of our royalties, and then they are just they are keeping it to themselves. They are not even talking about the 95% that we should have negotiated to have at least 65%. So it is extremely important, and thank you all for coming. Most of you have stayed. I know that some of you have had a lot of problems with the networking, particularly those from Ghana. Especially those in Bolga have heavy rains and others. But all the same, you have stayed, and please do attend the meetings. And then, as the presenter, Dr. Adote, said, we have to be based on the grassroots. It's time that we are based on the grassroots. We are doing what we can. At present, the PAG is getting signatories. We have a provincial certificate as a political party. We want to make a difference. We want to bring about a genuine change. We are not a group of people. As you can see us, both the young and the old, we've come very far, and we want to do what we can to ensure that we build a dynamic country. We want to see a change in our lifetime. Thank you all for coming.
Can you thank those guys who came from Cameroon and Tanzania, please?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah,
and
we have some participants from outside,
those who are not Ghanaians and have contributed. We value your contribution, and please do come in. Yeah, do send us your details, as I said on the chat, and do participate. We are Pan-Africanists. We are children of Nkrumah. When I mean we are children of Nkrumah, is not that Nkrumah, we are biological children. We are the political children of Nkrumah. So please, do participate and do make contributions. And as we say, we want results, and we are coming out with a difference. Yeah.
Good. Thank you, Brother Ian. Yeah, I heard somebody saying Onzi. Onzi is not coming from my son. So thank you, folks. Thank you all for coming. I hope to see. We hope to see you and all your friends and relatives here next 2 weeks. So I remain blessed, and God bless all on the table. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
If you want to stay behind to chat for some 5 minutes, you can stay behind.
Yeah.
Otherwise, leave.
Yeah, all right. I'll stay behind since you all woke me up at 6. I can't go back to sleep.
You see, I woke up at 5.
Anyway, that's good.
And remember, the PAG have a meeting today in the night, isn't it?
Yeah, 11 o'clock your time.
11 o'clock. So some of us woke up early and we are going to sleep late. So
yeah.
There's a lady called Techno.
Yeah, she was very quiet.
Yeah.
Techno, how are you?
She's still there.
Yeah.
She's gone.
She's gone.
No, she's not.
Shaibu.
Shaibu also didn't say anything.
Techno Povere.
Yeah.
How are you? Yeah, I like your smile also.
Thank you, Daddy.
What about in Ghana are you?
On mute. On mute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Where in Ghana are you?
Northern region.
Oh, Tamale. I see. Fantastic.
Northern region.
Okay. Fantastic.
Bradford is also here. I hope that, we are doing this registration, whether you can get in contact with our chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bradford.
So, Techno, can you send me your email address, contact information, and Bradford also? Bradford Tay.
I have Bradford details. If you can send it,
okay,
I'll send it to you.
That's fine.
That's fine. That's okay.
All right.
Brian,
Techno,
we need Techno's information.
Linus, yes. Linus, please.
Shall I send my details?
Please.
Yeah, you can send your details, but I have Linus details. So if you write their names.
Okay. I'll get them all from you.
No, not all. I don't have Techno. I don't have.
No. I said those that you have. Those that you have. Yeah.
Bradford, I have. Linus, I have, but they can still write it down there.
Yeah.
Who's Galaxy S9?
Ibrahim Aziz, also. Good.
Okay, guys.
Very good.
I'm out.
I'm out. Yeah. Okay, get some rest.
Go for some tea and coffee.
Yeah.
Okay, Daddy.
Yeah, please just send me your contact information. Maybe you can help us in the north.
Yeah, they are writing them. Yeah, you can see them. They are there. Yeah.
Yeah.
People are writing. You have Linus have written.
Techno has written too.
Yeah.
Techno has written.
Brother Alonga, it's always good to see you, sir.
Oh, I'm always here. Sometimes I do babysitting. That's why.
That's good. Who knows? Who knows? We can do babysitting cooperative, in
That's
the future.
right.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You can have a babysitters cooperative.
Yeah.
That's good.
I mean, it's a very good
occupation.
Yeah, I mean, not that I'm talking about what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a very good idea, and I think that this time we should not let go because we don't have that many years left.
That's right.
For some of us, and the younger ones, yeah, it's for them. So they have to participate.
That's why I'm always emphasizing on them to make contributions.
Yeah.
Because the future is for them.
Sorry. I was going to say, Bakamawia Ibrahim, we haven't seen you. Can we see you and know you?
Yeah, I'm from Upper West region. I'm from Upper West region.
Okay, where? Laura or Wa? Or where?
Wa.
Wa, great, yeah. Great, fantastic.
And send your information to brother.
Yeah, type in your information, your phone number, and your email address. At the bottom, you just click and then type it there.
Yeah, Bradford has typed his details here.
Yeah, I believe you got mine now.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, my phone number. Okay.
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 So in 2 weeks' time, we'll meet again, eh?
Yeah,
2 weeks' time,
Yeah, Linus, we see you in 2 weeks.
Somebody is connecting when we are going out.
All right.
It looks like somebody is connecting.
Yeah, Brother George Bafo is connecting.
When we are finished.
We have to charge him $40.
Whoever comes in late has to pay, yeah.
Yes.
Pay a premium.
I think he's on.
Techno, does it cost much to get connected from Ghana?
Not really. Yes, really, because of the network, it rained here heavily. So the network, we have a network problem.
Okay. But like as you've connected, how much will it cost you? We just want to have a rough idea.
Actually, I don't know. I don't really know the cost.
Okay. Because we want to know, because some people are having problems connecting because of the data usage, yeah. So we just want to have ideas, yeah. George, you are welcome, but they say you have to pay $1,000 for coming in late.
I'm terribly sorry I'm coming late. In California, it's only 8:30. And I was working very late last night remotely, so I couldn't wake up on time. I'm sorry. How are you?
Right. It's okay. We're happy to see you at least.
Where is
it's better to be late than never, not to be there. Yeah.
Yes.
Always better late than never.
Yes. How are you all?
That's true.
We're all fine, and we're happy to see you.
Did the meeting start on time? It started
exactly
2 hours ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 1.5.
No, 2 hours ago.
2 hours ago.
At least, in fact, it's 2 hours, 5 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. I'm terribly sorry.
And we always want to keep it under 2 hours or for 2 hours.
I slept around 3 a.m. and I knew that I would have to wake up at 6 a.m. I set up my alarm, but then I didn't hear it. So I'm terribly sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It's normal to sleep. Don't be sorry.
Yeah, so there's no sleep for us at this point. There's so much to be done.
Before I forget, Brother Yen, did you get the recording from last meeting? Dan was supposed to have forwarded it to you.
Did I? I have to check, yeah.
Okay, because I finally was able to do it, and I sent it to him to forward it to you and Brother Manfo, Brother Thad. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to check, yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
If you could indulge me, there's a gentleman, a young guy called Huawei. If you could just introduce himself. The young guy.
Huawei.
Huawei.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Prime, that's a Y5 Prime.
Yeah.
Ah.
Hello.
He's
The young man with the beard.
yeah.
Is he still on?
Yeah, you look very young, actually.
We want the young people more, so that is why we are emphasizing on you. And E. Who is E and who is S39?
Oh.
As we say, you can go off anytime you want. You don't have to stay now. It's the meeting
I
is
think
finished. We're just chatting.
E and S39 must be from MI7.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
S39? Anyway, so how do you people find today's meeting, Anthony?
I was very, very educative. I really liked it because cooperatives are very, very essential for national growth and for distribution of wealth and all that. The capitalists don't like cooperatives. So that's something we must bear in mind. Have it beside our side, that in case they offer any resistance, we also go in full swing. Many countries have been able to develop cooperatives, and it's benefiting the people. And why can't we do it? One thing I know that Ghanaians we don't trust ourselves so much.
No.
My son's friend who works in the bank, marvels as to why Africans are not coming together for loans from the bank, and the Asians are coming in groups. They are coming. Other parts of the world are coming to the banks to collect loans for top businesses here, but Africans are not. It means we are not together. We are not one. And it pains him. He's a young guy. He doesn't understand our dynamics, So I was trying to.
That's very true.
Yeah. So that is how it is. We don't trust each other, and that is very bad. That is very bad, and that is help. What do you call it? Hampering our effort to move ahead in every aspect of our life. So I think the trust.
Thank you.
Of trust has to be worked out.
My experience in Ghana, I worked in the volunteer sector here in the UK. I went to Ghana, collected my little savings and bought computers with the help of Lenus and others, and furniture and everything. Went and then negotiated with the Bolgatanga Polytechnic, to have not a cooperative, but it was almost like a cooperative. I got all these young people together, but as at this material time, it didn't work out. Anytime I traveled and left the project, when I came back, I had to start all over.
Yes, right, yeah.
Then secondly, I had a lot of friends I knew, and I just only wanted them just to give contracts and we would deliver the goods, and they weren't interested. So there's a lot of sabotage. As far as you're not part of the state, you're not part of them. And you know that the Ghanaian state is very huge and it occupies a lot of resources. It has a lot of resources, and they can just easily sabotage whatever you are doing.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of problems, cooperatives, as far as it is concerned. Maybe we may have to, if we have to do any cooperative, we have to concentrate more on the production, food production, because that one everybody would like to eat. So there is a possibility that
actually, I joined in very late. So that is why I couldn't contribute, but I'm very well educated and with the program.
Okay.
I was thinking when the presentation was going on as to how exactly do you plan doing these cooperatives? I'm a chairman of a credit union here in Ho, and generally this credit union is just successful in Ghana because it has been well planned and being executed by a well-organized body.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's anything that you are wanting to do in terms of cooperatives, my understanding is it has to be well planned, or it has to be a plan,
of course,
and well executed, and it has to be supported by a financial body. So I'm rather thinking, instead of going into just food or any other cooperative first, the first and foremost thing is you go with a credit union cooperatives. And generally mobilize money, the resources, and those resources could rather be used for any other venture or cooperative venture that you want to go into. So we have to think seriously about how exactly that this mechanism will be planned and also being executed from outside the state. It's going to be a very difficult one. So you have to be very sound in finances. That is the most and the foremost thing that we really have to think about. So I was wanting to even ask the question, how are we really planning and where from within the state?
Yeah, you are right.
I don't know if I mean.
Yeah, you sounded all right. You make sense. Yeah, it's
okay.
You know, these are all community-based development organizations, credit unions, financial institutions, micro enterprise, and microfinancing, and then cooperatives. They are all one. It's effective if they are all linked, and so that the chain will not be broken anywhere.
That's right.
And so to start this, we need a strong documentation as to how the whole structure is going to go. So first we have to go to the government. Do they have such a strong cooperative bylaws and all those things? They don't have them. Then we might have to go to the staff on the ground. You know, how are we going to develop them? Develop the statutes that is going to protect them and make them effective and more effective and strong and productive as well. And so on that level, then we start with the structures as to which one has to come first. The financial sector has to come first, and then the rest of the chains will follow in that order, so that there will be a complete circle. There won't be a break anywhere, from finance to production to retailing to manufacturing, that sort of thing. And then with that, we'll be able to be say that the cooperative is working. I have friends that I attended school with in Kenya. They came from Kenya, and then they were telling me how cooperatives are so powerful there. So, and it's been re-emphasized today by our presenter, how it's effective in Kenya. And we can do the same thing in our country. I know that we can do the same thing there.
I know Kofi Bedu is very, very interested into cooperatives. So, well, he's gone off, but and he's had ideas about cooperatives too. So.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion?
Go ahead.
I know it's early days yet, and since it looks like we've got a provisional certificate, it means we are, a long way, to get into a political party status. If we've got something like this, which is a very good policy area, why don't we, for example, suggest to Doc, who did the presentation, to maybe flesh out some policy paper so that, we can at least have it in our bag, as an aspect of our manifesto or whatever it is in development, so that at least we have something which we can always refer to if, for example, it gets to a stage where we have to, make statements on certain issues in the country.
Yes, and Brother Loga, you are right. And even on top of that, he says we have to start demonstrating. We have to start going to the communities, try and form cooperatives in any form, any shape or form. Make sure that we exemplify what we're trying to do. And so I think that's in the right order. Yeah, that's in right order. Secretary, you want to add something to that?
We just
no. I think he hit it right on the head. Really.
Yeah.
I think that's
and what we could probably do from now onwards, when we get the speakers, to speak, what we should do, tell them that they should try and then summarize their thing for us.
Exactly.
So that, so it can help us in our political program.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as we say, it's not compulsory to stay if you want to get. We are now just chatting. The meeting finished about 25 minutes ago. So if you want to go off, please don't feel compelled to be on.
Are we paying for this Zoom session?
Yeah, the CNN is paying.
Okay.
Yeah, CNN. In fact, CNN, the people, most of the people, of course, there are other people beyond CNN, but they are so far all the resources, the money for the registration, the card, the money going to Ghana to help, travel and others. Not to give money for people, but for travel and others have come from US and Canada, from CNN. They've made immense contributions to the political party formation.
Okay.
They've made a lot of contributions. Some of them have contributed as much as $2,000.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
good.
As individuals, yeah.
That's very good.
We have to thank them for being.
Yeah, exactly. We should be acknowledging them.
Yeah, but also the organizations, having set up a system for the organizations to contribute. Like, for example, social justice movement like that, we are very few who make contributions. So we, to run the social justice movement, so we haven't made much contribution to the general pool yet, because we are also managing the social justice movement from a small pool of money too. So. But
okay, congratulations.
CNN have done a lot of contributions here.
Well done. Do their members come on line for a Zoom meeting?
The CNN?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of their people are on Zoom, yeah.
Okay, all right.
A lot of their people, if you look there, probably the first row, 1, 2, about 4 or 5 are still on here, isn't it?
All
or
right,
3.
okay. Congratulations, and thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Yeah, I think for the secretary to note, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for your contributions and participation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
If you let me know how I can chip in something, just, initially just to get it going, when something crops up from Walla to Walla, we chip in small.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Yeah. Good to know. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
And there are other people even outside the CNN that have made some contributions here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have a lady in Hawaii. Over the past 2-3 years, she's given us about $5,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Altogether.
We can't let them down.
She and her husband, yeah.
Yeah, this time, I mean, like I said, some of us are, close to 70 now. So we've got to make sure that it's the last, push.
That's right. Yeah.
Our generation has let the country down. Our generation.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah.
And we need to make
amends.
That's
very true. That's very true.
Our greedy generation. The greedy generation.
Yeah. We have to deal with it. We have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And one thing too is forming a political organization from the scratch entails sacrifices.
A lot. Yeah.
We got to sacrifice a lot.
A lot.
Time, our money, our resources, our minds and everything. All that we need, we should put on the table to make it better.
I remember we had 2018 meeting in Bolgatanga, what we call Socialist Forum. Yeah. We had to tax our families. My children made sure that each contributed £100 each. At times children contributed £100 each. Before we knew, Kotiana contributed about £500. Before we knew, we had about almost $2,000 or $3,000, and we had the socialist conference. So it has to come because we don't have funders out there, so we have to squeeze the money from ourselves,
And the work involved too is a lot, a lot of work. There have been times when I get up at about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and don't go to bed till about 11. I may take a nap, maybe 30 minutes. Sometimes I plan to take a 30-minute nap. I'm only able to sleep for 10 minutes, and then I'm up again.
Okay.
And there's still
congratulations, congratulations. Well,
Yeah,
congratulations.
and this started over 5 years ago.
Yeah, started five years ago.
We've been
and you always have to strive to make sure that everything is correct, because you make a mistake, that mistake can come back and bite you a few days.
Somebody's trying to call.
Talk, yeah. We're just jumping in. Just jump in, yeah. We're just chatting.
But I actually think like, okay. I want to know like the various organizations that come together. Some of us, we are no more educated on that, and we couldn't join early too.
Right, it doesn't have to be a big organization. We have some organizations that have membership of less than 20, and then we have some that tell us that
5.
Huh?
Or even 5.
No, even 5. Even 5. It doesn't have to be a big organization. The central pillar for anybody to come in is that you have to be inclined towards social justice. You have to be inclined towards social justice. That's all. We don't care about anything else. As long as you are inclined, and I keep repeating the word inclined, because even if you do not classify yourself as such, but in fact, your aspirations, your mission, your vision is to establish, equality, equity, justice for everybody in the system, you qualify to join us.
Yeah,
In
Techno,
fact,
Techno, can you organize women around your area? Techno.
Any of the young people around your area? Techno?
The lady.
Yeah, lady.
Techno?
Yeah. Pove.
Her name is Lillian.
Lillian.
Yes, please, Daddy.
Can you organize your community, women and the youth and all that? Can you start some organization there?
Yes, please, Daddy.
Okay, that would be great.
Do contact us. Do contact. I think we have your details, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, please. It's just that we have a poor network here. That is why I'm struggling with that here.
Okay.
Yeah, she said it's raining.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we go off, because I think we've had enough chats.
Okay, I want to. Hello, sir. I want to thank you. Thank you for this meeting.
Yeah,
and try and come next week.
Yes.
Next 2 weeks.
Yes.
In 2 weeks' time.
Yes, I will be there. I will be there shortly. Yes.
And
I want to say thank you.
The other thing I want to suggest as we are here is the network. Kofi in particular, I mean, if we could maybe take it up at today's meeting, try to get the network of Ghana going on.
Okay.
The group in Ghana, the central group. I know that Adote and Co are doing quite some work.
Yeah.
But if we can get them so that they come into these meetings as a group.
Okay.
Then So if we can get that, maybe we could discuss these things more at the PAG meeting. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks to everybody.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
to the moderator and to the organizers.
Yeah. And thanks to all those who have stayed back. It means you are really, really interested. So thank you very much.
We came late, so we have no choice.
Yeah, we stayed back 42 more minutes.
Yes.
So thank you all. And more particularly Techno. Yeah, only lady. Yeah.
I thank you.
Thank you.
I learned so much this evening. I learned so much.
Thank you.
What is Kofi, what is the next topic again?
I believe it's going to be on agriculture and fishery agriculture. We have to
Okay, so if we
structure it. But I'll send it out to all of you.
Yeah, if we can do it like how this man Adote talked, generally to give an overview of the system, the socio-economic system, before going into the details. It would be very good, because otherwise, if you just talk about agriculture and fishery, but just basically to talk what kind of economy, what kind of agricultural system that we are, the neo-colonial system, like Adwete tried to, before going into the topic. So if you could make those points, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, well, yeah, I'll send it all. I'll send it to you guys, you and Brother Manfo, and then we can iron it out before I send it to them. Yeah.
Okay. So once more, thank you everybody, and let's go off. Otherwise, we'll stay till daybreak. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want us to stay on for a week. You know. That would be great.
That's good.
Yeah,
Thank you.